The GT4 European Series kicks off this weekend at Paul Ricard. It is, as you've kind of got used to in this championship, a huge grid, 40 cars ready to go racing, and two fascinating qualifying sessions yesterday. The first dictating the grid for this race, the second for this afternoon's race, and the GT4 championship that has got more and more popular over the years. GT4 initially quite a slow burn, but now taking big grids in Europe with strong classes in Britain, in Asia and elsewhere. America, Australia also joining that GT4 bandwagon. There's a strong German championship ran outside of SRO as well, and some really good racing with a great mix of cars, some new drivers, some new teams as well, and we're looking forward to the opening race in the championship. It's a 1 hour race, pit window between 25 and 35 minutes, where every car bar one will have a driver change. David Addison and Joe Osborne trackside. Yesterday it was a quirky qualifying for the reigning champions, Robert Constantine and Benjamin Lariche, because in each of the two sessions, Joe, they seemed to struggle, whereas other Audis, they drive an R8, didn't have the same issues, but they're a long way back on the grid.
Yeah, 20th place for our #1 car in this race 1 this morning, so a lot of puzzled faces, I'm sure, at Speed Car with their Audi that was so dominant for so many races last year.
Pole position to the NM Racing Team Mercedes of the Spanish driver Ibanez, who first came to prominence in this series for Ginetta, but he's been racing the Mercedes now for quite a few seasons. Alex Papadopoulos with him for the 3rd season. Another driver to watch is going to be Cedric Fuchs. He lines up 2nd on the grid, and we can hear from Cedric with Bryn Lucas.
Well, a new driver pairing for the both of you. What's it been like, the relationship so far? Obviously, it started pretty well, 2nd on the grid.
Yeah, we have a really good relationship. We raced together last year in the GT4 Germany, also in the GT4 Winter Series. So we know each other. We know each other from the karting. So it's really nice to drive together. So it's nice.
Have you got a similar driving style, would you say? Is that the key to your success out in other series?
Yeah, not only the driving style, also the hard work, the team, and we driver do every time we can. We try to improve and do something that we get faster and faster, and that's at the end the success for us.
Lovely, lovely. Wish you all the best for this one. Good luck.
Thank you.
Cedric Fuchs coming from the German Championship, in which he was the rookie champion last year, and the man in the car, Enrico Förderer, the overall champion last year in the German GT4 series. So yes, they know each other, they've raced against each other, and they're both successful as well. The SRO Motorsport by Schnitzelarm entry. It is another of the Mercedes AMGs with all of that grunt for this circuit. 3rd on the grid is the Victor Boveng Joachim Balder BMW from the Schubert Motorsport stable. Schubert's been running BMWs, it feels like, since the dawn of time. Very, very experienced team. And the M4, it still strikes one as looking a bit more like a touring car than a GT car, but they're really effective.
Yeah, and when we go on board with them, they don't look like a touring car, though, do they? They look like a proper GT, so don't let the size fool you, so to speak. And you can see the focus there on Boveng, ready to fight.
And then 4th on the grid for Mirage Racing is going to be the car of Romeo Leur and Hugo Kondo, who returns to the series. Romeo Leur is new, having raced in French Formula 4 and GT4. Hugo Kondo back after racing in 2022. Right, let's hear from Joachim Balder. Bryn goes to the 2nd row of the grid now.
Well, your teammate came so close, didn't he, last year to winning this one here. Do you feel any pressure on your shoulders to deliver the victory?
Yes, I feel a lot of pressure. I think last year it was like 200 of seconds for the 1st place, but yeah, I feel the pressure. I told Victor that the pressure will be quite high, but we have good expectation for this 1st race.
I think it was 2,000ths of a second. It was even closer than that, wasn't it? For yourself, though, you've got the pole position for Pro-Am. That's a pretty good start to the season.
Yeah, and we need to collect points in every race, so we are very happy with that.
Is that how you've identified the championship opportunity? Consistency is key.
Yeah, for sure. But of course, we aim at the 1st place.
Of course, naturally, racing drivers, right? Well, good luck today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, we had 2 insanely close finishes last year in the classes, didn't we? Coming up towards the timing line. That sort of drag race out of the last corner. Joachim Balder then, who will go 2nd. Victor Boveng is in the car, ready for stint 1. And there, the Schubert BMW good to go. Number 27, you can see there, starting a little bit further back on the grid, is the Nova Racing Porsche, operated by WNS Motorsport for Edwin Helston and Daniel Nielsen. That car is 6th on the grid. And it's going to be Edwin Helston who starts in the very attractive Cayman. And alongside, having slightly gone quicker in qualifying, Stefano D'Aste's Lotus. We have two of the Lotuses this season, the Emira GT4 and Stefano D'Aste, former Alfa Romeo World Touring Car racer. Certainly a man to watch. There it is. Massimo Abati is the second driver aboard that car this season. Abati up from the Lotus Cup Italy, and they had a class win as a team last year, different co-driver last year for D'Aste, but we know that car's got pace.
Yeah, we saw a lot, didn't we, last year, pop in a very fast lap in qualifying or in the race, and then sometimes would start to fade.
Now, what about the reigning champions? Tough day yesterday, and Benjamin Lariche, as we've been hearing, starts 20th. He's with Bryn.
Well, Benjamin, you have the number 1 on your car, which means you come into this as the big target on your back, but it's not gone to plan so far with the qualifying. What happened yesterday in quali?
No, we had some engine issues, so we try to make some move, and we'll see what's happened for the race.
Are you confident that the issues have been fixed?
Yes, I think so, but yes, we'll see, because now we are P20, so the start will be difficult for sure, so we try to stay on the track, and we'll see what's happened, because we have the performance of the setup, so I feel confident with the car.
Just means a lot of people to overtake. Good luck.
But that does tally in a sense. It wasn't an Audi issue, it was an isolated issue for that car, because here, for example, the sister entry of Greg Gilbert, who will start, and Paul Petit, 7th on the grid. So, okay, they'd like to be higher as well, but even so, evidence there that the car could be quicker. That did a 2-minute 12.1 lap, whereas it was 2:13 for Benjamin Lariche.
Yeah, we said it, didn't we, during qualifying? We thought it's got a problem. We just hope they could find it on the telemetry, and seems like they have, and they're confident of it, but you won't know until the start of the race. And even then, when you're in traffic, it's sometimes hard to know if it's fixed. So fingers crossed for the number 1.
So we have the 5-minute countdown. Teams getting closer to activity. And there you can see number 4, which is the Mies Houben and Lachlan Evernet Mercedes, run by Speedy Motorsport, the first full GT4 Europe season. The team having come to Barcelona last year. Australian driver Lachlan Evernet has raced in Europe before, but also in GT4 in Australia and the Trans Am Series down under. So it's a new circuit for him, but he's done quite a lot of miles. Number 12, BMW, is always one to watch. Gabriele Piano will go second. New to him, co-driver Tommy Rackel will do the first stint. And Thomas Rackel coming into the championship new this year, having raced in the German championship last year and being a quick carter prior to that.
Yeah, big step up coming from the sort of domestic series that you said about earlier, David, where GT4 are so strong globally, to this European, yes, but really world-class level of GT4 competition.
This is a late extra to the grid. At one point, it looked as though Charlie Robertson and Ravi Ramyud were going to be BMW drivers, and there was a falling out or something, so they've switched cars and teams and gone to Elite Motorsport, partnered each other in BMWs last year in British GT. Ravi Ramyud and Charlie Robertson coming then to GT4 Europe with that McLaren. Still learning about the car, so ones to watch as the year goes on. 68 Ford Mustang, run by Team Floral, Michael Haverans and the American driver Sam Paley. The Mustang always sounds great around here, and indeed Academy Motorsport took a race win here a year ago. Yeah,
they had mega pace across the whole race, didn't they? I remember some good moves being done and some pretty inventive moves as well. Some overtakes around turn 14, the second last corner we don't see often, but the Mustang made them stick last year.
So the grid being cleared, it's a rolling start of course, so the drivers will be released behind the leading car shortly. 15 seconds to go, and then at the end of the formation lap, they will go racing. We're not being told of a second formation lap. The earlier GT3 revival race did have a second formation lap within the time, but we've not had anything along those lines communicated yet for GT4. We'll wait and see, in fact, when the cars get towards the end of the lap, just in case. But they're away. Now the weaving starts to get the warmth into the Pirelli tyres. 3 races in one, and you've got therefore Silver, Pro-Am and Am. And number 2, the Bas Visser Leon van Verselt Porsche must come into the pit lane because the tyre pressures are too low. Let's have a quick look at the grid. Luc Ibanez is the man on pole, with Enrico Ferderer lining up for second on the grid. Starting third, Victor Boveng and Romeo Leurs is going to be fourth. Starting fifth will be Stefano D'Aste, and sixth Edwin Helston, ahead of Greg Gilbert, green and black Audi, and alongside him is Mies Houben. Then you've got Gustavo Xavier alongside Charlie Robertson. Starting on row 6, it will be Hugo Mojica's Ginetta and Yanni Stephen Haydn's ahead of Max Schiavone and Tomasz Gedes. Vinny Beltramelli is on row 8 with Pedro Garcia alongside, ahead of Lucas Cartel and Mackenzie Cresswell. Row 10, Hendrik Still and Benjamin Lariche, one to watch, ahead of Nathan Van Springel and Ruben Del Sar. Row 12, Michael Haverans and Thomas Rackel. Then on the 13th row of the grid, the second of those Borusan Automotive BMWs, the car of Jagish Gedic and Bati Yildirim. Bas Visser's car that's going to have to pit at the end of the lap is 26th on the grid, 27th Tudor Tudarashi, and Nico Farroran lines up alongside. On row 15 there's Henry Jocelyn making his GT4 Europe debut alongside Jensen Altzman. The 16th row, Daniel Drexel and Davide Meloni ahead of Alain Gabay and Luca Desgrange. Then you've got Christopher Brunhagen and Maximus Meyer on the 18th row. The 19th row is solo driver Julien Rippert and the Cronin brothers, Robert Starts, and the back row will be Daniel Blickler sharing with Moritz Berenberg and Eric Chiaranu in the Villi Motorsport car to round out the 40. We understand it will just be that one formation lap. The race director, Gerald Doval, content with that for GT4 purposes. So these cars, very quick bits of race kit in their own right, but closer to a road car than a GT3 car is, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So they're a bit heavier because they've got more road car components, that bit softer, less tuned. So we've said it before, haven't we? Just because they're slower doesn't mean they're easier. Quite the opposite to their GT3 counterparts. Can be harder to get the lap time out of the car. It's a bit quirkier to drive, easy to overdrive. It's a bit of a strange statement to say sometimes about a race car, but if you go into the corner a bit quick, because of the weight and the softness of the car, it can roll around and struggle to give you the exit you need. So sometimes you have to underdrive these cars to get the lap time.
On board here with the elite McLaren, weaving around to get the warmth into the tyres. 77 is the car of Yanni Stephenhuyden's and Harry Reynolds. Stephenhuyden starts this race. Elite made its name running Ginettas to race and title success, and then went single-seaters, and then has gone GT4 with McLarens, GT3 with Ferraris. It's a team that really has grown in a very short space of time to quite a powerhouse.
Yeah, they really haven't, and they've now got the relationship with McLaren where they're this preferred team trying to get the junior drivers all the way through the ranks. So there is a Ginetta Junior running the McLaren customer racing livery, and yeah, they don't have a GT3 McLaren, they actually got a 296 Ferrari in that instance, but yeah, it must be a confusing business to run, the amount of different cars they run.
Keeping everybody happy as well. He just caught a glimpse of Robert Constany, reigning champion, on his phone, looking at the pictures and looking at the live timing, no doubt, as well. He will take over from Benjamin Lariche, former rally driver Robert Constany. So now everybody getting themselves into formation, ready for the rolling start. The cars coming then down towards the Virage Dupont, the last corner, in due course. Just to make the point again, the scrutineers on the grid checking the tyre pressures, and the Bas Visser JW Race Service Porsche with the tyre pressures too low, therefore being forced to come into the pits and get that sorted.
Yeah, there's just a minimum pressure, and the performance is the lower you go, the faster you will go, but for safety, they have to have a minimum.
Right, so the Maserati lead car will go for the pit lane. Pole position here on the inside for turn 1, which is a left-hander. So Luc Ibanez will go toe-to-toe with the Mercedes alongside in the hands of Enrico Ferderer. Going to be an interesting battle, this, because they've not really come up against each other much before, if at all. Luc Ibanez has been a mainstay of this series over a number of years. He's got pole position, he's got the inside line there. The lights on the gantry are red. The GT4 European Series for 2026 is go. Good getaway by the Mercedes. The Lotus is also fan out to try to gain places, with Stefano D'Aste running off the road onto that blue painted area, which sometimes is a no-no. He's up the inside as well, trying to go third. Look at the end of the pit straight, as it's going to be Ferderer around the outside to take the lead, and up to second. That's brave by the BMW. Victor Boveng goes second, and Luc Ibanez from pole in danger of being elbowed back to third. D'Aste is fourth in the Lotus. Mercedes versus BMW for second spot, side by side down to turn 3. Boveng takes the place.
great start, clean start. The Lotus looking racy as well, trying to show its nose. Now we go into the big stop where we see him Concertina up car, taking the escape road on the left, Bollard in the middle of the road. I wonder if that's underneath the Supra at the moment that's running in 5th place, but it was a great start from the outside row. I just worry maybe for Fodder, was he not over the grid boxes when the lights went green? That has been quite a strict rule, and that Supra running wide, but no Bollard to be seen.
So race leaders then power their way along that Mistral straight with up front Enrico Ferderer then in the car that was second on the grid. Luc Ibanez trying to rebuild here as you see the Toyota battling with Audi, battling with Toyota. That is Greg Gilbert's Audi in the middle of all of that. Very close it was indeed.
There's a big lock-up as well in the background. I saw someone piling into the apex at the chicane. Looks like everyone survived, but it was 3 wide with a car, a ball of smoke, so some good evasive driving done by some.
So up through senior they go for the first time, and up front now Enrico Ferderer trying to get away from Victor Bouvin, and there Greg Gilbert really having to fight the Audi. He's coming under massive pressure, is he not? Because they're right up behind him. You can see his Mies Houben in the Toyota, but he's going to lose a place as they turn through the corner. So the Supras switch, and Mies Houben, having attacked the Audi, loses out. He's going to have to defend from the Porsche behind now as they come wriggling their way up towards the end of the opening lap. Tomasz Gedes, the Supra, getting up through the order after not a great qualifying, but he's been on the attack early doors here.
Yeah, Ibanez needs to get on the attack, doesn't he, and try to regain those places lost from pole position. Car going in deep there for the Supra, so it's going to be hard to cut back and damage to the Mustang.
Yeah, indeed. So number 69 it is that has picked up the damage. That's a Team Floral car of Michiel Haverantz, and he's made contact with somebody by the look of it. That's Haverant's race run, door opens, so it looks like the Dutch driver, the Belgian driver rather, is going to be out of the car, out of the race.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a safety car as well. He's stranded, isn't he, at the Bendor corner, turn 12 on the outside, so I think the safety car will be called in the next 30 seconds.
There you go, as if by magic. Yes, it was within, certainly. So safety car deployed, and that means that everybody will bunch up behind. It'll bring down the gaps, and Michiel Haverantz very disappointed. Not the way he wanted to start the season, far from it.
Lap 1 of the championship isn't how that should go. It looks like he's gone in to the rear left of someone, probably under braking there. Easily done, jostling for position. Easy to miss your braking point when you're in a wide battle, and your reference you've been using every lap sometimes is no longer there.
87 in the pit lane as well. That's the Lucas Cartel Hudson Schwartz Supra. Lucas Cartel at the wheel of it, but I wonder whether that got involved with the Mustang. It almost looks like they're sort of trying to tape up bits of damaged bodywork there.
Yeah, potentially, just trying to work out where they were on the grid. It didn't look like they were trying to repair it too quickly, which is always a worry if it's a bit of a resigned fact that the car isn't going to get out. You can just see the Mustang on the top of that shot from the drone, stranded still.
Safety car on track, then all of this, of course, counts within the race. The safety car will scoop them up at the end of this lap, and then the Mustang can be moved because the race will have been placed under control conditions as the cars make that run now down towards turn 1. Bit of weaving going on from Enrico Ferderer to try to keep the warmth in the tyres in the Pirelli rubber. Victor Bouvin running second, Luc Ibanez from pole is third, Stefano D'Asti fourth, Greg Gilbert fifth, and quick look to see what progress has been made by the reigning champion Benjamin Lariche. Well, it's bad news. He's down to 24th. So having been hoping that the engine issues of yesterday were fixed, he's lost 4 places on that first lap rather than gaining anything.
Yeah, that is the wrong way to go. And they're actually behind an AM car, which really shows you that car is in a whole world of hurt. So, yeah, you can see the gains and the losses. Jocelyn with 11 positions gained up to 18th now. Hendrik still, we're used to him being fast, 9 places to get him 10th. And everyone else with 1 or 2 gained. Only Xavier there in 9th. That's the only one that hasn't moved.
And Ibanez will be ruining that poor start. Let's have another look at it. Pole position, but he just didn't sort of light up in the way he needed to.
Yeah, just feel like Fodder is slightly over the box, but there's so many there. I think he's going to get away with that without a problem. I thought the Lotus was going to go for 3rd place into turn 1, but I think he realised he was the inside of 2 other cars and backed out of it quite wisely as he got squeezed by the BMW eventually at the apex just here.
It is Massimiliano Schiavone's Lotus that is being investigated with Michiel Haverantz. So Lotus versus Mustang would seem to be the trigger of the incident there. Ibanez for the external shot, losing the lead, and then hung out to dry really on the outside, got forced over the curb, tried to fight back, but he was always on the compromised outside line.
Yeah, that's the problem with the pole position here. You've got the inside for turn 1, but then the outside for the next 2 corners. So if you don't get the getaway, which he didn't seem to get right now, it was a struggle. The Lotus doing so well, wasn't it, to get alongside. It's right on the rear bumper, actually, of Ibanez, and has to back out of it, not to go in the back of that Mercedes, which then loses momentum. Look at the dive bomb from that Toyota into the side of the other Lotus at turn 1. Well, which car that was? Is that actually Cartel that's in the pits? Because they were working on that side of the car, weren't they?
And although Stefano D'Aste was on that blue paint, there is no investigation necessary, say race control about that. So play on, and Stefano D'Aste will be relieved to hear that as he runs in 4th place. The Lotus competitive again, as you see the pack then on that opening lap, going down through 3, 4, 5, car off the road, has to rejoin at the very bottom of the lap rather than forcing its way back through the corners where it's a bit more dangerous.
Yeah, I could see a bit of a lock-up as well down there. I don't know if it's the number 3 speed car Audi potentially. We saw a load of smoke in this brake zone where the leader is just approaching now to the chicane. They'll be up to 220 kilometers an hour here, braking all the way down to 70k for the first apex on the left, and then 45 to 50 for the right apex. Here we're on board with the double 7 Elite, and we've got Charlie Robson in front. We get a great start. Look at all that real estate in front, and that's what you need to do as a driver at the start, is just feel the gaps. It doesn't matter if the gap's inside, middle or out. Wherever it is, you go, and that's forward momentum, and we've continued that. Now we've got the inside. Does well to stay on the track. I thought we were going to cut the inside there. Big slide from the Porsche, gives it a snap. Now we're to the inside, and can we get past that 27 Cayman? No, the Porsche's got great torque there, hasn't it, to get it out of trouble. And now we've got Super coming around the outside, and that is Cartel. So he had an aggressive start and did well. Is there damage here? We're just looking to see where that Supra that's next to us picks up damage to the inside. Has to cut the inside there. Just about fair. Doesn't gain the position as well. So I think Race Control will be happy with what we've seen so far on board this double 7. And actually we've got a car still to our inside that's had to dive out of our way. Action everywhere you look.
We understand Lucas Cartel out of the race with steering damage after early contact. So the field now coming over the line. It's a bent steering rack on that Lucas Cartel Toyota. So the cars come through now at the end of lap 3. Enrico Federer, the race leader, in 2nd spot. Jody Fannin there from Elite looking on. 2nd spot, Victor Boveng. Luc Ibanez 3rd. Stefano D'Aste 4th. Greg Gilbert 5th. Romeo Leurs, new to the championship, running in 6th place. Safety car will be in this lap. Shall I get it out of the way early on? Safety cars breed safety cars. You bunch everybody up, and of course they won't have had that many laps to get warmth into tyres, so don't be surprised if there are incidents on the restart.
Yeah, and people still trying to work out where they are in the food chain as well. Obviously, first race of the year, a lot of new drivers, a lot of new teams, new cars, so you don't know who you're racing against, whereas by the end of the season, you understand who's aggressive, who to watch out for, but right now, you've got to treat everyone like they're an enemy.
So Enrique Federer, a pretty impressive debut this for the reigning German GT4 champion. And the field turning through there, the Maloney dad and lad BMW, Davide son, Paolo is dad. They've been regulars in the championship over the last few seasons, and we will go racing again at the end of this lap. So if you put your quick driver into the first stint, of course, then that's slightly gone against you because he will have fewer racing laps in which to make an impact.
Yeah, they've effectively lost a third of that time, haven't they, already? Tucked up behind the safety car. But same for everyone in Pro-Am, all the pros starting in those cars. So all those green number background cars are equal. Silver, of course, they can run in any order they want, and there's always a discrepancy between the drivers. The best teams, they're only a 10th or 2 behind them, but some of the other silvers with a disparity of experience, maybe up to a second difference. So yeah, could see a difference in that class.
We were saying yesterday about what an international lineup it is this year. Drivers coming from France, the Netherlands, from Portugal, from Turkey, from Germany, from Spain, from Italy, Sweden, Britain, Israel, San Marino. You've got America, you've got Belgium, you've got Australia, Romania, which ones have I missed? Luxembourg. It really is a truly cosmopolitan entry. Turkish drivers as well. So we're going to go racing once more. Mercedes, BMW, Mercedes, Lotus is the top 4. And the leading Mercedes, the SRO Motorsport by Schnitzelalm car. Enrico Federer at the wheel of it will accelerate in a moment up then through the approach to the Virage Dupont. And is he going to go late? Is he going to go early on the power? The safety car, as it is, peels in. Green flag is ready. And it looks as though Federer is going to go late. Stacks everybody up behind him. Slow through that last corner. And now he'll storm away.
Yeah, kind of stereotypical restart going on the apex of the last corner. Slightly easy to read. We saw a couple of GT3 restarts yesterday, didn't we? They went early and they caught a few people napping. But it's been a strong start and he's going to be safe, I think, from attack from the BMW behind.
So through they go then, back racing, green flag flies, and the cars then now powering their way once again down through turn one. Got the Lotus there of Stefano D'Aste with Greg Gilbert's car, another one to look for, the McLaren of Elite and the Ginetta of the Mojica brothers behind. McLaren, Ginetta and Aston Martin behind. Up front then, Federer is getting away, only by a length or so, but you can see what's happening behind. Victor Bouveng is having to defend now, vigorously as well, from Luc Ibanez.
Yeah, we saw last year the BMW stronger than the Mercedes in a straight line, so is that going to be the case this year, or is the adjustments to BOP done a change to that?
Oh dear, number 11 BMW from the Borusan team in the pit lane. The sister car is out on track, battling up the inside there, and it looks as though Tommy Rackle is going to go through, perhaps to gain a place coming onto the Mistral straight. So one in the pits and one in a big fight.
Yeah, Charlie Robson as well, and the white McLaren all around. There's a big group of 5 cars there in the middle of your shot, about to come to this brake zone.
That was Gilbert running deep into the chicane as well in the green, white and black Audi. That replacement car after the huge accident they had at Spa last year. So you've got Thomas Rackle gaining ground there in the BMW, the sister car of Jagish Gedic sitting in the pit lane, and the cars then now accelerate up into senior. They turn through the right-hander, and Enrico Federer trying to build that gap. A quick car early on, at least in terms of playing catch-up from its pit lane start, effectively, was the Bas Visser Toyota. Charlie Robertson is on his toes trying to hustle the plain white McLaren through the pack. So up towards the end of lap one, Greg Gilbert, very defensive. Toyota and Porsche stacked up behind him. Gilbert keeping Mies Houben at bay.
Yeah, and the sister Audi, we saw quickly, Lariche looks okay performance-wise. Actually outdrag Robertson out the chicane, so power looks all right, but still down in 21st.
Yes, but he's making progress, slow as it might be, as there a big dive on the inside. That puts Romeo Leurs then up one further spot. Actually, Gilbert's Audi is not really being able to pick up its skirts and go, is it? That's losing places rather than gaining. Yeah,
that was a great move from the Super, wasn't it? Proper Romeo done to the apex, and the Lotus, after a very racy start, looks to be fading slightly.
Stefano D'Aste drops back then behind Leurs, and he's under attack from Gilbert, and Gilbert is taking with him Mies Houben, and then it's Edwin Helston in 8th place. Hendrik Still is up to 9th. Gustavo Xavier is now 10th. So the Lotus is in a big battle, but I wonder how much longer it's going to be able to repel the challenge from behind. This is Federer, only 0.7 of a second ahead. He's not storming away.
No, he's really struggling. See the cars hopping over the curb, very harsh there. And D'Aste trying to just look to keep those cars behind. Remember, the Lotus so fast in the speed traps yesterday in qualifying, so that will be a benefit now as they blast onto the Mistral straight. This sector 2 dominated by this straight.
So along the Mistral goes the race leader, and Enrico Federer powers on, heading into the chicane. Now, in a straight line, that gap does look to have grown. He's pulled 2/10 out over the opposition in that first sector alone.
Yeah, he's got the clear air, hasn't he? So he's able just to do what he wants. Aston Martin down the inside of the Ginetta of Modica there. Looks like the Ginetta's going to be able to hold it on. Needs to stop it at the apex, try to stop that cutback. The Aston gets a little bit of an overlap. This could be a move done into turn 10.
So up towards senior they can then, working now lap number 6 with that safety car period. We've had almost 15 minutes of the race elapse now as the battle goes on here. Aston Martin versus Ford versus Ginetta. The Mustang in the middle of all of that, trying to make progress. Nathan van Springel at the wheel. The car towering over the number 74 Aston just up the road ahead, which is Pedro Garcia's car.
Yeah, and, seen the Mustang out with damage, but when it runs so well, doesn't it? But they had so much bad luck last year, Academy particularly, but Team Floral today not able to keep going with their one.
Battle on for second, and that is also playing into the hands of Enrique Federer. So he's got good pace himself, but now that Victor Bouveng is having to defend, that means that he's going slower by having to keep Ibanez at bay. So over the timing line they come. Once more down towards turn 1, so it is Federer ahead, Bouveng second, Ibanez third, then Romeo Lurs. He's been a pretty impressive rookie, going nicely ahead of Stefano D'Aste, and then Greg Gilbert.
You've seen the warning flags given. We've actually seen it on the timing screen. You have to be careful, Jose. They're being given that for touching the bollards.
Yeah.
And, yeah, there's yellow bollards out there. And used to seeing them wiped out at Ricard quite frequently, but GT4's not being allowed to do that.
So they drop down to turn 5. We're on lap number 7, and already a second and a half has been pulled. So now Federer very definitely is on a charge. D'Aste, in the meantime, is still hanging on to 5th place, but he's got quite a queue of cars building up behind him. Greg Gilbert's Audi, and then Mieshauben in that largely yellow Toyota Supra.
Yeah, and this is what tends to happen. You get stacked up. You give the car in front a chance to overtake that slower car, and if it's not done within a lap or two, then they've lost the right to not be attacked. So potentially we're going to see that Supra try and get down the inside of the Audi and take the fight to the Lotus itself.
So again, up towards the chicane comes Hendrik Still. In terms of the classes, it is Enrico Federer leading silver, it's Victor Bouveng leading Pro-Am, and Nico Farahram, 19th overall, is the category leader there. This is Still, you're on board, and the Porsche then now trying to gain further ground on the run up towards Senior.
Interesting, it seems to be slightly slower than the identical Porsche in front. Wide there, you can see how much time you lose missing an apex at Senior. Now needs to try to get back, and you can see the battle pack. You've got the Lotus from the Audi, from the Supra, then 2 Porsches tucked up, and we're riding in that last place Porsche coming into shot there with the very distinctive Circus Clown livery.
So D'Aste then under attack once more from Gilbert, from Hauben, and then Edwin Helston's Porsche. And you've got Hendrik Still behind as the cars again come up through the approach to Virage du Pont, and Greg Gilbert in this invidious position trying to attack and defend at the same time. Life is tough, and he has a look to the inside of the Lotus, but no way through.
Yeah, I almost think that was more of a defensive move rather than offensive, and yeah, for sure the Supra looks like it wants to get past as quickly as possible, but they are all now losing time to cars in front and behind, and the Lotus has managed to escape because of that kerfuffle at the last corner.
Down towards turn 1. 1.8 seconds now is Federer's gap over the opposition, with second Bouveng and third Ibanez. But how long before Mieshauben here makes a move against Greg Gilbert, because that Toyota looks very, very rapid indeed, doesn't it? As they go again down towards turn 4. So Mieshauben, who's new to GT4 but been quick in the Dutch Mazda MX-5 series and the Supercar Challenge as well. He's now right almost alongside coming out of turn 5.
If you're faster than an MX-5, you're faster than anything. Any one-make championship anywhere you go in the world is super competitive. But MX-5s or Miatas, if you're in the North American region, are one of the most competitive single-make championships going.
Indeed so. Right, look then at the fight that continues along the Mistral Straight once more, but there's the gap, plain for all to see. Enrico Federer getting away, and is Luc Ibanez being held up now by Victor Bouveng, the leading Pro-Am driver? Well, if he is, he needs to do something about it, because he might have the pace, but he hasn't worked out how to get through.
Yeah, and it's obviously making then the second half of this race much harder after the pit stops for relative teammates to catch up, and we've seen Ibanez being a few tenths quicker than his teammate Papadopoulos yesterday. I think, to be fair, Federer and Fuchs were pretty close to each other pace-wise.
So there the pole car, Luc Ibanez, who will give way to Alex Papadopoulos, and Luc Ibanez has had a really good run over the years in GT4 European Series races, the Spanish driver. And there he is looking now in all seriousness for a way past Victor Bouveng, because he knows his class rival is escaping up the road, and he also knows that Papadopoulos isn't quite as quick as he is, so he's got to get up there to give him a good position to protect, really.
Yeah, look at the Supra looming in behind, 7 tenths behind at the moment, but he's looking to the inside now. Great dive. Is he going to get it stopped? He does. Can he ease the BMW out of his way? Done. And now can he stay in front? The BMW potentially going to out-drag him on the pit straight.
Past the pits then they come. That puts now 8 laps in the book, and Enrico Federer leads Luc Ibanez by 2.2 seconds, but actually Bouveng is coming back at him on the outside line there. The white-nosed BMW tries to level with Ibanez, but to no avail, and what that has served to do as well now is to bring into the equation the Supra behind, number 9. That is the car from Mirage of Romeo Lurs and Hugo Conda. Romeo Lurs at the wheel of it. There it is. That was a late entry, and it's making its presence felt, because now look right on the back of the BMW. They're on a similar similar platform, aren't they? The Supra and the M4. And now Romeo Leur's looking to try to wriggle a way through, and he's up the inside, he's up the curb. Little bit of hit and shoulder, job done.
Nice move, and I think, unfortunately for Bouvin, he got up on top of the apex curve as the Supra has a huge snap of oversteer, and it just unsettled the BMW so much, and Lewis just saw that and sent it to the inside and then just eased him out. Pretty sure I can see Victor Bouvin moving his arms in that car, doesn't look happy with the Supra in front.
No, indeed. And then behind, dropping away, Stefano D'Aste. But Romeo Leur's here, really on a mission. Let's see what else he can do now. The next target would be Luc Ibanez. And if he can shake off that BMW in a couple of corners' time, then he can concentrate. Again, the car is sideways. It's a spectacular car, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is where the BMW pops off the curb, and it just seems like it unsettles itself. And he's probably unable to get to the throttle in between the turns at 4 and 5. And the Supra of Leur's just thinks, right, I'm going to send it down the inside. And the gap is there. The contact is towards the exit, which normally race control are happy with because both cars are just trying to jostle for their position. He claims the apex and gets it stopped well, and it looks like a good, clean move in my opinion.
And super slow-mo, it looks even more dramatic, doesn't it?
Super slow-mo.
Super slow-mo, yeah. So let's see whether there was a rub between them there. Little snap of oversteer that slides in towards the BMW, and there is a little bit of a rub, but Victor Bouvin has to give way. Romeo Leur's, who's raced around here in French Formula 4 as well as in French GT, says, I'm coming through, you make your own arrangements.
Yeah, it's looking loose is my only concern for that Supra. The next 2 exits of corners, super sideways, and that is going to burn the tyre up. These tyres have to last the race, no tyre change in the pit stops.
Good Cayman battle going on, which is also for now 3rd in Pro-Am. Edwin Helston versus Henrik Still. Over the timing line go the race leaders. The gap was 2.2. The gap's gone up between the leaders to 2.4. So Enrico Fordera is getting away from Luc Ibanez in 2nd place. In 3rd, it's Romeo Leur's. In 4th now is Victor Bouvin. Stefano D'Aste is 5th and 6th. You've got Mies Halben's Toyota. Let's get back on board with Henrik Still. Then Edwin Helston is ahead, and he's looking for a way past Greg Gilver in the best of the Audis. Lariche, by the way, up into 20th.
Where he started, and Gilver now dropping off. Remember, he was being held up by D'Aste in the Lotus 2 cars in front of him now, so suddenly that Audi's starting to lose some pace and performance.
This is Henrik Still's view. Edwin Helston's comparable Cayman is the car ahead. Helston's car entered by Nova Racing, but run by WNS Motorsport, the team that runs Henrik Still's car. So effectively all out of the same awning. So it's a very, very evenly matched battle, this, and Edwin Helston just fractionally the quicker in a straight line there. That's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and if anything, Ibanez is in danger of being caught by the charging Romeo Leur's before he does anything about Fordera for the lead.
Yeah, and so he would have been hoping to try and be getting towards the leader, but again, he looks like he's potentially going to lose that 2nd place and drop back down to 3rd if that Toyota can keep looking after its rear tyres.
Back on board with Henrik Still. Speed building up towards Senior, the other side of that chicane. He's a little bit nearer, I think, to the tail of Edwin Helston as they go through the corner. So the battle is on. Greg Gilver under attack from Edwin Helston, and for as long as he is stuck and can't get by, that is enabling 9th place Henrik Still to get a little bit nearer as they come through that long right of Le Beausset.
Yeah, Still seems to be struggling with his car through Le Beausset. You see how wide he was and able to get it in easily for the 2nd apex, so just have to slow the car down, allow it to rotate, try and take some of the energy out of the front tyre so you can help it there. You can see the body language of this 12 car, super aggressive, trying to chuck it back to the inside. And again, 40 cars on the grid, there's going to be so many battles all the way down the field.
Going through is the Ginetta. You see that car 15th. It's Hugo Mojica at the wheel in stint 1. Thibaut will take over and do the start stint in the 2nd race. Number 24 Porsche goes through also. That is the AM leading Nico Ferreran. He's a long way up the road over Christopher Brunhagen, 2nd in AM, and Daniel Blickler 3rd in AM. So Nico Ferreran's Cayman going nicely as there, look, the Mustang of Nathan van Springel towering over the top of the McLaren, looking for a way past Stephen Haydn's. The elite McLaren hangs on to the place right now, but there you've got 2 completely different styles of GT4 car. That massive Mustang and the really low-line McLaren.
Yeah, I think the only things they share in common are 4 wheels and a V8, isn't it? Everything else couldn't be a more different concept. And yeah, the Mustang really working its rear tyres and kicking the rear out. Looks cool, feels cool, not good for lap time or tyre life.
So Nathan van Springel switching from Team Floral to Academy Motorsport for this season. and he will hand that car over for the second stint to Eric Evans, who we know is a quick driver, British GT4 class champion of seasons past. Right, Hendrik still hasn't quite latched onto the tail of Edvin Helston, but very definitely under attack there. You can see the elite McLaren 77, the car with Janne Stephenhuijens behind the wheel and getting closer to him all the time. Aboard number 61 is Nathan van Springel. This is the view from Stephenhuijens' McLaren. He in turn is going after Gustavo Xavier just up the road ahead.
It's like a set of courses, isn't it? You can just about see the headlights of the Mustang in our rear view mirror. And we spoke about this window net yesterday, didn't we? It's going to wear a hole through the dash if they don't tighten that up soon enough. And the McLaren's so good in the corner, but lacking straight line performance, it would seem.
Now, on this lap, Luc Ibanez has been fractionally quicker in sectors than the race leader, so the gap, in theory, should be down by a touch, but still, it seems to have got a lack of pace relative to yesterday's qualifying session.
Yeah, there didn't seem to be any logic with that either, which, unless they've just got a very quick car setup-wise for qualifying and it doesn't translate into the race, or is there a bit of tyre management going on? Like I said, these tyres have to last for the full duration of the race, so they will be starting to get to the end of their life at the end of this race.
Happy drivers ready to get on board for the second stint. The pit window is now open. We've got to that point pretty quickly, haven't we, with the early safety car period, but then the car's unleashed and the pit lane is busy straight away. A little bit of smoke there, as I think somebody arrived quickly and had to hit the brakes.
Yeah, although that isn't where you slow down anymore.
No.
It looks like the BMW has got smoke coming out the back of it, potentially that Borusan Automotive turquoise-coloured car. I think I saw smoke coming out the rear of that.
Right, so that's Tommy Rackle to give way to Gabriele Piana in the car that's on pole for race 2. So we can do without that having an issue, can't we?
Yeah, for sure. I just wonder if it's an engine issue or potentially sometimes when you're slowing down for the line, the car behind you brakes a bit too late and you get rear-ended. But hopefully they can get to work on the car and say, okay.
Hendrik still is still behind Edvin Helston, so in 9th place. The order is going to shuffle while we cycle through the pit window. 88 seconds is the delta time, line to line. If you're under that, penalties will come, but you do get a 1 second joker tolerance. As up the inside line goes Edvin Helston against Greg Gilbert. He's got the inside for part 1 of the chicane, but it doesn't work. He's going to try to switch sides, but no way through. The Audi hangs on to that place.
Yeah, it's a hard move to make work. He's tucked up behind. We're going to get a good view of it here. And actually, the Audi are not defending the inside, so I think the Porsche got a good chance here to slip down the inside. Let's check where the brake lights come on. Who's the bravest? Both at the same time, but he's got the inside, can still go all the way through.
So Helston is past, and now Hendrik still tries to get up the inside as well, going down towards Le Beausset. Yellow flag out in the first sector, and Hendrik still makes it work. Through he goes on the inside line, takes full advantage of that. Gilbert, if you like, put off his stride at senior, and he just couldn't get it back, could he, under control. So the gap was there, the momentum was slightly lost as well, and Hendrik still seizes that opportunity.
Yeah, very fair from Gilbert. I thought he'd close the door more. We've also had a change, haven't we, between the Lotus and Toyota for 5th place. So Diaste held on well, but has lost 1 more place.
That yellow flag in sector 1 has gone in again, so the road is clear as the leaders come then up toward the end of the lap. Enrique Further is still leading, and he's going to stay out. There he is, breaks the beam. In 2nd place, it is Luc Ibanez. In 3rd place is the impressive Romeo Lurs. 4th, dropping back a bit, Victor Bourveng. In 5th, it's Mies Hauber. Now in 6th place, Stefano Daste. Greg Gilbert is pitted, having lost those places. So Helston 7th and still 8th, with now Janne Stephenhuijens up to 9th, and Gustavo Xavier is 10th. But not for long, because Henry Josselin attacks and goes through, looking the white Supra on the inside line. So Henry Josselin, the British driver, but in the Gazoo Racing Sweden entry, now breaks into the top 10.
Been a good run for them, and teams have got their minimum pit stop time they must adhere to, of course. So it's 88 seconds, 1 minute 28. They can use that joker where they go 1 second under, but I have seen a few cars already under, one of them being the 62 Academy Mustang is 0.3 of a second too fast by my reckoning, so we may see a penalty for 62.
Yeah, you've got 1 second tolerance to use once across the event, as in you can't do it in each race. If you've used that tolerance in the first race, then you've got to be really careful in race 2. So driver changes undertaken in these pit stops. That's about all you can do. Maybe check and adjust tyre pressures, but there's not much you can do. Stefano Daste here, meantime, keeping Edvin Helston at bay, and then behind Helston it is Hendrik Still. There is the paraplegic Tim Horrell getting into the specially adapted Porsche that he shares with the Israeli driver Elon Gabay. So the wheelchair brought to the side of the car. Tim Horrell gets in. The car, of course, specially adapted for his disability. The engine will fire up, and then the car controller lets it go.
Oh, aggressive pull away and a racy release as well, only just getting into the fast lane clear. And we saw that car involved in a bit of a racing qualifying yesterday, didn't we? And it looked leery, and yeah, Tim was giving it everything and more. It was good to see.
And we've got 1 or 2 speeds of the pits being investigated as well from some of those early stoppers. Right, this has been a massively impressive stint, hasn't it, by Enrico Förderer. He's going to hand the car over in due course to co-driver Cedric Fuchs, and Cedric really just has to carry on the good work, but he's been given a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I hope for Fuchs' sake it stays the same for him in the second half, because it would be a dream start for them in their European GT4 campaign, and a good way to mark your intention on a championship.
We understand that the 2 Borusan BMWs have both got exhaust issues. Remember, we saw 11 in the pits early and then a smoky 12. Different issues, but all exhaust related. So exhaust problems and exhaust dead mechanics probably now trying to put it all right for race 2. Dastey's in the pit lane. Stephen Heidens is in the pit lane. Also in Julian Brichet. Charlie Robertson is in. Daniel Blickler is in. Pit lane is getting busy. Yeah,
we've got to cycle through. We've only got 3.5 minutes to complete everyone's pit stop, so teams have spread it out evenly, haven't they, over the 10-minute window. The Pro-Ams tend to go longer in this race 1 because the Pro is in, so they will have a 2 to 2 seconds advantage on average over their AM driver, so they want to get the most out of them.
Looking down from the drone at the Mistral Straight, but you also see the nature of Paul Ricard with all these different cut-throughs and different circuit layouts used for different types of event and different track days and test days. In the pit lane, there is Cedric Fuchs being wished well as he's getting ready to get on board the leading car. Quite a bit of pressure on young shoulders here, because look at the gap that he will be given. It's nearly 3 seconds, courtesy of a great stint by Enrico Förderer, but now Cedric Fuchs can't afford to make a mistake. Equally, the pit crew can't afford to make a mistake. They've got to time that absolutely right. Yeah,
there's so much to get done from the driver change perspective as well. 5 belts to get plugged in, radio, window, net, door closed properly, and you start to panic. One goes wrong, suddenly the next one goes wrong, and before you know it, that time's evaporated, and that's time that can't be got back on circuit.
Looking here at a slightly jumbled order with cars having fed back into the line after a pit stop. This red Supra, Romeo Lurs, he also, for my money, has been one of the stars of the opening stint. He really has taken the battle to the opposition.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with this first stint of the season from him.
As I say, the car was a late entry into the pit lane. He dives then to give way to Hugo Kondo, who has been a GT4 European Series racer in years past. Pit lane getting busier. The leader is in, second is in, third is in, fourth is in. So now the battle is on between the Mercedes teams.
I feel Ibanez there was a bit conservative with his entry to pit lane. I feel the gap has grown to the lead, and the Supra closed up with loads under braking. So let's see as they exit pit lane if that was true.
There is Cedric Fuchs then with his seat. Dives to the car, helps to get Enrico Förderer out. That's Hugo Conde ready to jump aboard number 9. Fuchs with his boring white helmet gets in. No doubt that'll get painted over the course of the season as he becomes more of a factor in this championship and wants to promote himself. So the lead cars all on the pit lane. That's the Meloni family BMW you can see driving down the pit lane. Massimiliano Schiavone's Lotus is behind that, and Christopher Brunhagen with the Supra flashing his lights at the pit crew to say, here I am, as much as they're waving the lollipop to say, here we are. That, in the meantime, is Massimo Abati in the car that he's taken over now from Stefano Dastey. And you don't want to be in the middle of all of that, do you? Because you don't want to get hemmed in by cars fore and aft.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's clear. That's Papadopoulos getting going in second place, as now Fuchs has got out in front of him. So looks pretty even between those two. Maybe slightly smaller gap, actually. And then the Supra close again. So here should be 1, 2 and 3 leaving pit lane.
And indeed 4, you've got the BMW, you'll just see it peeking into the picture. So the top 4 as they came in will leave in the same order, but now different drivers. So Cedric Fuchs ahead of Alex Papadopoulos, ahead of Hugo Conda, and then it is going to be now Joachim Walder in that BMW in 4th place. Look. So they come pouring out of the pit lane, and this is going to be a really interesting second stint. 25 minutes of this opening race to go, and they've got another race this afternoon. So what they do not need are problems, and certainly not any damage.
Now, just so looking at the pit stop times again, I think we might have a problem for this Lotus potentially. Pit stop too fast on my reckoning. So maybe the 26 and the 62 cars are ones with pit stop penalty. So if you've got a 2 and a 6 in your number, I think you've got a penalty coming.
Yeah, 26 is under investigation for a short pit stop. So if it's shorter by more than a second, which is your joker, you're in trouble. Stefano D'Este, Massimo Abbasi's car. Right, so there now is Paul Petit. His father, Pierre Petit, was a very quick French Formula 3000 racer in the 80s, early 90s. And Paul Petit takes over that car. It runs now in 12th, having just got past the Abbasi Lotus. So the order will settle down at the end of this lap. The pit window is now closed, so stops are all done by everybody, and you can see there it is still normal service, and as much as Mercedes 1-2, same order but different drivers. Fuchs ahead of Papadopoulos. Going to be interesting now, isn't it, to see what, if anything, Alex, the American driver, can do to bring down that lead gap.
Yeah, you'd say the car with the weakest outlap is that third place Supra. That seems to have dropped off, so Honda doesn't seem to be able to stay with the two Mercedes in front at the moment.
So we'll pick out also where we are in the classes at the end of this lap when we have the true order. But I think the AM lead has changed in favour of the Brunhagens now. Christopher has given way to Michael Dad. Christopher is son. Regulars in this series, as well as GT4 Scandinavia, which is another booming market for GT4 racing. The Maloney BMW goes out wide. That number 24 Porsche is the car that was leading in AM early on. Julien Brichet has now taken it over. And look, the Maloney BMW running way out wide there. Number 62 is being given an 11-second penalty for a short pit stop. 26 a 14-second penalty for a short pit stop.
Yeah, and 74 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. So a few teams potentially a bit rusty on this first race of the year.
So battle pack starting to develop as the race leaders go through, and it is Cedric Fuchs then up front in number 111 ahead of the similar Mercedes operated by a different team, with Alex Papadopoulos at the wheel, 3 seconds being the cushion that he's got. Actually, it's gone up over the pit stops, hasn't it? So a good outlap by Fuchs, and possibly also, just going back to what you were saying, maybe that rather more cautious inlap by Ibanez before Papadopoulos got into the car. But look there, Cedric Fuchs, he's away and gone.
Yeah, this has been a dream start to his stint. It's not been bad for that. This Mercedes of Papadopoulos, because this Toyota has dropped back, and actually now the Pro-Am car with the AM in the car, third overall, first in class of Valda, is doing well, although the Supra behind looking racy.
Yeah, Valda is up into third. Up into fourth place now is Lachlan Evanet, the Australian, and he's about to make a move, is he, for third place up the inside into the chicane. So nice move that by Lachlan Evanet. He goes by up the inside, takes the place, the Speedy Motorsport car living up to its name. So that puts now Joachim Valda fourth, and Hugo Conde in the red Supra in fifth. So that really has lost out on the pit stops, hasn't it?
Yeah, Valda really, though, needs to be looking, doesn't he, for the Porsche in sixth overall of Nielsen. That's his class battle, and that's the car that's just behind this red Supra now. But yeah, at the moment, the Supra in fifth hasn't got the pace that it finished that first stint with, has it?
And Julien Brichet well clear in AM at the moment, having taken over the Porsche, which his team runs from Nico Ferreran. Right, so now you can see Lachlan Evanet getting away in third place, having taken over that car from Mies Houben. The pair of them rookies as well. There is Joachim Valda, who, yeah, doesn't have to chase, but he does need to make sure he maintains, as Joe was suggesting, that gap over number 27 Porsche, the car of Edwin Helston that he did the first stint in, and now Daniel Nilsson drives. That is Joachim Bolting, who has taken over from Henrik Still. And behind is the now Harry Reynolds driven McLaren, the elite car. And Harry was quick yesterday, so that could be one to watch, I think. Still with 21 minutes to go.
Yeah, and actually Nielsen looking fast, isn't he? He's all over the back of Petit. The Audis just don't look as strong this year as they were last year. So the Pro-Am car taking the fight to the number 8 speed car of Paul Petit.
Now that BMW of Valda, which is leading in Pro-Am, is under investigation for the pit lane speed. And investigations like that are normally because there's evidence to say, look, this is wrong. So I'm a bit fearful for that car.
Yeah, it's always a worry, and you never know if it's driver coming in or driver coming out, or potentially an issue with the pit limiter itself. But very rarely do we see that saying no further action later on.
through there powers Alex Papadopoulos, who is now 4.5 seconds back. That first flying lap was a 2 minutes 14 from Fuchs and a 2:16 for Papadopoulos. So Cedric Fuchs straight away is proving he's quicker.
Yeah, and he's getting to a point now where he can probably just manage the pace, maybe use slightly less curb so it doesn't damage the car potentially, look after the tyre a bit more. And the reason to actually look after the tyre is if there were a late safety car and your tyres are in a better shape on restart, you've got the chance to drop everyone behind you.
Nice battle going on here between Ford, Aston Martin. I think it is a change for 8th. Clement Seiler having got himself past Eric Evans. They come up through the right-hander of Senior, number 61 Mustang in the hands of Eric Evans, the American driver. A very emotional winner of the GT4 title in the UK a few years back, and he's about to make a move to try to retake the place from Clement Seiler, but to no avail. Clement Seiler, another class champion in this championship in years past. So the Aston versus the Mustang, the Academy Motorsport car, the British team, another new livery for the Mustang in a very Ford blue.
Yeah, really nice. And Ford doing a good job with their junior academy program, of which Eric Evans is part of as well. So yellow flag in sector 1. Can't see anything on my timing screen to show why.
And there, look, you've got Paul Petit getting up past Joachim Walder. So Walder is being shuffled back in the pack here, and he's definitely in danger of being caught by Nielsen.
Yeah, and actually Paul Petit's pace much better than I thought it was on the previous lap. So yeah, Walder again just needs to steady the ship, worry about his class lead. But I think Nielsen may be dropping behind now because he's battling hard with the Supra.
And in other earth-shattering news, the reigning champions have stormed up to 18th place, having gone from 20th to 24th and back up again. So clearly the engine woes persist for Robert Consigny and Benjamin Lariche. As you look there at Joachim Bulting, who is now arguing over second in class. This is going to help potentially Joachim Walder, isn't it? If those Porsches get together and it's almost contact there.
Yeah, they tried to slow so much that the Nielsen Porsche in front caught us out, and Bolton going to try and get the cutback. We saw the same story, didn't we, in stint 1 with the teammates in these cars, and now it's raging on with the AM, and there is that McLaren trying to get involved in the mix. Not for class position for Harry Reynolds, but he'll want to get past.
Your suggestion about the smoke from the number 12 BMW in the pit lane, I think is absolutely spot on, because an incident at pit entry between the BMW and number 78 Elite McLaren and Mackenzie Cresswell, it will be looked at after the race. So Brin's reporting an exhaust issue, yes, but possibly the result of contact as the BM slowed and the McLaren slowed not quite so much.
If you say enough things, some of them will be right, I guess. I'll take that one as a positive.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you're back on board with 77 here. Harry Reynolds at the wheel, having come through the single-seater ranks. He was a GB4 race winner last year in the UK. Harry fighting the car a bit up through Senior, that very, very fast right-hander, but he's got good exit speed. And so now, closing on the traffic ahead, getting onto the back of Joachim Bolting's Porsche there, look.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, and it looks like it's a mirror image in front. Is there going to be contact as we now flick to the Porsche? It's just been overtaking of Bolting out on that rough exit curve. We saw the same thing for Hendrick, still down to the inside for the McLaren. He's doing good work to get past these AMs.
Bolting hard at work then as he fights his way then up into second in class, and if there's anything in the system for Joachim Walder, then that's going to help Joachim Bolting take a class victory. Although there, look, Daniel Nielsen is trying to come back at him. So the two WNS Motorsport Caymans, great looking car though, come up towards the timing line. You can see Walder there, the Pro-Am leader. Big gap over the red Toyota that's trying to recover Hugo Conde, but they're now down in 7th and 8th places. Through in 9th place it's Reynolds, 10th is Bulting, 11th is Nielsen, and then Charlie Hart in another of the elite McLarens is in 12th spot.
Yeah, just seeing the number 1 car there fighting with one of the Willie Motorsport Audis. It doesn't look like it's slow in a straight line, so it doesn't look like the engine problem, what they said, is still the problem, but a serious lack of pace. There's a huge snap of oversteer, and I think he's going to lose that place, so maybe there is a problem, but it's not the engine, something in the handling of that car.
Challenge being made there, look, on the inside. Harry Reynolds goes ahead of Hugo Conde, who is returning to GT4, but he's really struggling, and that was Bulting getting up the inside, and Joachim leans on the Supra, which doesn't give an inch, does it? Almost coming off worse was the Porsche, but whether it's Hugo Condé struggling or whether the Supra has gone off the boil, it's hard to tell, but it doesn't look anything like as racy as it did in the first stint in the hands of Romeo Leurs.
And bolting to the inside now. He's got to be careful with the Porsche GT4, the radiators in those front corners. He would have got away with that contact, and the job is done now, and he just gets a gap, doesn't he, between him and Nilsson. And Nilsson's really been struggling to get past Condé this whole stint.
And Nilsson is in danger of losing out to Charlie Hart, isn't he? There, look, in the very McLaren-coloured McLaren Artura. Up towards senior they go, but still comfortably ahead in Pro-Am for now, at least, is Joachim Walder. I say for now because the pit lane speed is being looked at as they're going through number 27, Daniel Nilsson at the wheel. Third in the Pro-Am category, Charlie Hart up the inside. He's in the silver class, so it's a change for the overall position, but not for class points.
Nice move, and he gets past 2 for the price of 1.
Nicely done, because something is not right for Hugo Condé. That car's falling back and back and back and back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. I'm not trying to be condescending to him, but his teammate was so quick at the start, so hopefully it's not a problem that's getting worse, and he can nurse that car to the end.
Leaders go through over the timing line. Fuchs it is with 4.3 seconds worth of an advantage over Alex Papadopoulos, although now down to 3.3 seconds. Papadopoulos did a much better lap there. Third is the Toyota of the charging Australian driver Lachlan Everett, so maybe Papadopoulos has just taken a bit longer to get into his stride.
Yeah, they were both slow proportionally, but the leader much slower than anyone else inside the top 6. No traffic as an excuse. Timing screen just saying that Papadopoulos is on a pit out lap, which obviously is incorrect, so maybe a transponder issue brewing for that NM racing car. But yeah, last time by, the leaders weren't particularly quick. It's actually the third place cars. The battle rages on here, Paul Petit against Seiler.
So Clement Seiler, who is also being looked at for pit lane speeding and getting a penalty post-race, battles on. A little bit further down the order, the other Mustang from Academy's got Marco Signoretti at the wheel, another driver, in fact, who's won the GT4 class in British GT, and that's up into 14th place now. Signoretti pushes on. We're about to have a change here, are we? Because up the inside line goes Eric Evans, and the Mustang that dwarfs the Audi does go through. Gets ahead of Paul Petit under braking for the chicane.
Yeah, nice move, and just was easing him over, wasn't he, to the curb on entry, just to say, I'm definitely coming through. Don't even think about trying to hang it around the outside, because that's just going to be painful for both of us. He ripped the plaster off and just sent it.
And it all went dark for Paul Petit, didn't it? As this huge blue thing sort of filled all of his peripheral vision. The Mustang has gone by, so now Eric Evans sets off in pursuit of Clement Seiler, with that penalty to factor in at the end of the race after the speeding. So wide goes Paul Petit, and that's still the best of the Audis that really have looked a bit undercooked all weekend. Up to 16th now is Robert Consigny. Sergiu Nicolai, the Romanian driver, 17th in his Audi behind. Good little battle here at Le Beausset with cars everywhere over the road. Yeah,
Nilsson still behind Condé. That has been a long stint and very frustrating for him. The pace is definitely there, just unable to get it. As the other Mustang, the 62 car, is trying to get involved, and now Nilsson has gone out of shot. It's definitely one place, maybe two lost.
So there, the Mustang round the outside. Marco Signoretti has the momentum, and we know that Marco, the Canadian's a very fast driver. Right up the curb, but the Mustang can gobble that up, and also through goes the Ginetta. Nice move that done by Thibaut Mojica.
Yeah, really good. I thought he was actually going to try and get down the inside of the Mustang, but real feel for Nilsson here, just hasn't had the pace to get past the Toyota easily, and he's just been following him, and whether the Toyota loses position-wise, Nilsson does back, as he does try to fight back against Mojica.
Now, Marco Signoretti's team manager has just been summoned to race control immediately, and that's never a good sign. So what has Signoretti done, or what have the team done in the pit stop that could require such urgent activity?
The penalty was just a time penalty, wasn't it, for the pit stop being too short. So they haven't not done a drive-through, so I can't think of anything there. The other problem for Academy, the 61 car, and its final track limit warning. So one more for Eric Evans. They will attract a penalty there as well. So he needs to keep it between the white lines for the remainder of the race.
And that has 11 minutes, therefore, to run through. So up front, 3.6 seconds split Cedric Fuchs from Alex Papadopoulos. Lachlan Everett is still in third. Fourth, Clement Seiler. Fifth is Eric Evans. Sixth now Paul Petit. Joachim Walder is seventh. In eighth place, Harry Reynolds. Ninth, Charlie Hart. And Joachim Bulting is 10th. And drama's there. Which of the Astons has gone around? It is 72. So that's the Racing Spirit of Le Mans entry of Florent Grisot, and he's going to get back up and running.
Nice job getting out of the way, and then tucks back into the racing line, and will hopefully not have any legacy damage there.
So battles carry on as we are on lap 21. This is how the Aston spun, and that was with help. Was that Charlie Hart?
I think it was Cronin, wasn't it, in a race lap
yes,
car?
You're right. There is the spinning Aston and Colin Cronin, the racing side of the Cronin family, because the eldest of the brothers, Keith, is a 4 times British rally champion. He gets through, but might have knuckles wrapped for that.
Yeah, I've got a premonition. Car 75 under investigation. Car 75 drive-through penalty.
Okay. I don't think for a moment the first part's going to be wrong. It's certainly going to get looked at. But you can see where Joe thinks the blame should be apportioned. Well, there is the lead car, and what a display this has been by Cedric Fuchs, and prior to that from Enrico Ferrer. They've just blitzed the opposition, haven't they? They've, after building the gap on the first couple of laps, disappeared up the road.
Yeah, when Bryn interviews him after the race, I think they can legitimately hold the microphone and just drop it to the floor. That's how you should feel after a dominating debut race in the European GT4 Championship.
They can do that if they can send you the bill for encouragement. So the Mercedes heads again to the Mistral straight, and they're thinking, yeah, is it always going to be this easy? Cedric Fuchs inherits a car in the lead, keeps the lead, and look, not a soul in sight in terms of race cars up the Mistral, and Cedric Fuchs just needs to bring it home, not put a wheel wrong now with 8 3/4 minutes to go. Still leading in AM is number 24 Porsche of Julien Brichet. He's now got the car behind of Pedro Perino, another of the Toyotas, but Brichet, another quick driver. He and Nico Farrow on target for success, so you're going to have Mercedes provisionally winning silver, BMW for a win in Pro-Am, and Am will go the way of Porsche. The battle is on. Now, look, number 4, this is for second place. Lachlan Evanet right on the back of Alex Papadopoulos, so the Supra, the long-nosed front-engine Toyota, right up behind the Mercedes. We know that the Toyota is a good car. We've seen race wins and good podium results in the past from different drivers and different teams operating the Supra in GT4 European Series, but Papadopoulos has been unable to peg the gap, and Lachlan Evanet might be new to Paul Ricard, but he's not showing it. He's crawling all over the back of the Mercedes. Both great sounding cars. Papadopoulos goes a little bit wide at the penultimate corner, but Evanet on the outside can't do it there. Needs to tighten the line and try and pull the pin to get up the inside on the run along the pit straight, but he can't do it. He's in the wheel tracks. Turn 1 is the opportunity.
Picking up the draft, looking to the inside quite early. Looks like he's going to get the overspeed and get the overlap as well. And now he's got the inside. This should be job done. How brave is Papadopoulos going to be? He decides to brake early and tuck in behind, wants to secure the final podium position.
They come out of turn 2, and now the Toyota ahead. So Lachlan Evanet 5 seconds back from the race leader, but has been lapping quicker. So I think he's going to bring down the gap, not necessarily to a point where he's challenging for the lead. He's going to run out of time to do that, just under 7 minutes. But I think he will narrow the gap. Papadopoulos staying with him for a couple of corners and tightening the line there, almost getting a chance to look back up the inside. But I think on the Mistral straight, the Toyota is going to start to edge away once again.
Yeah, it's normally the trait of these two cars, isn't it? Mercedes better in corners than the Supra. Supra better on the straight, so should be relatively safe. I'm sure Everett will just check his mirror to make sure he's clear, and then he'll feel confident just to stay on the racing line.
So battle on for second place, and Cedric Fuchs 5 seconds to the good up the road as they come again into the chicane, ride the curb. Through the left, through the right comes Lachlan Evanet, that Supra going nicely. Alex Papadopoulos in third, falling back a little bit. A real frustration again for the team after Ibanez did the hard yards in qualifying. It's never looked as competitive as a car today as it did in the warmer temperatures yesterday.
No, well, from pole it lost the lead straight away, didn't it? So they don't think they were probably ever on for a win, which is a bit galling to say the least when you're so dominant in qualifying, like you said, David. And this car's made some big progress, hasn't it, with Sailor, especially in the second stint. Stayed clean, made a load of overtakes, and I think they'll be happy with the result.
Yeah, Clement Seiler has been briefly in GT3, but it's very much in a GT4 car that he shines, and has been a class champion in the past. There is Joachim Bulting then, who is getting a bit nearer net to Joachim Walder for the Pro-Am lead. I don't think he's quite going to get there in time, but the BMW is certainly losing a little bit of pace, and Balting then has got the Honda Erdem BMW behind him, and that also is coming on strong late race.
Yep, and, the BMW seems to look after its tyre well, doesn't it? Because Walder is keeping up, and the job is done well, bizarrely on the corner exit. So I'd imagine we had a massive snap of oversteer, and this car was unable to get on the throttle efficiently, and the BMW just drove past him for a bit of rubber, and for good measure too.
Yellow flag in this last sector, so Balting losing out to the Erdem BMW. Yellow flag becomes green flag at turn 11. That was Labose. So this is Balting's view, but he's lost another place. Look, Audi through. That's the Sergio Nicolai car. So Balting has to fight back, but he's going to put himself on the wrong line, the outside line for turn 1.
Yeah, the Audi from Williams Motorsports sent it down the inside, hard and fair. The fastest car in a straight line, it seems, the Audi this year. And Balting's trying to get past, but the car looking super loose for him in the 32 Porsche.
Now we're now getting some track limit penalties filtering through the system as well. Not yet concerning race leaders, but there are also some time penalties coming for speeding in the pit lane. And one is going the way of Joachim Walder. 10 seconds to the BMW leading in Pro-Am. So all of a sudden that pass from Under Erdem in the other BMW, massively important.
Yeah, going to inherit that, aren't they, as Walder will have a penalty. Probably not a drive-through at this point in the race. It will be added on to their race time. But I wonder if the team have told him. I wonder who was at fault for it. It'd be amazing to find out. I'm not brave enough, so Bryn, if you could do the honours, that'd be amazing.
Another 10-second penalty for pit lane speeding has gone the way of Onder Erdem, who inherits the lead with the penalty for Walder, but then his 10-second penalty should give the class win to Joachim Balting. So Balting then has a golden opportunity to inherit a class win, but actually, if anything, he's losing places on the road, so he's got to keep it within 10 seconds of the Walder BM with 3 minutes to go.
It's going to be tight, isn't it? It's 8 seconds at the moment, and the gap is growing. So the team have definitely told Walder to push, because he needs to find that 1.5 seconds to secure the victory, as it was close between the Audi and the BMW there, as the car swept in front cleanly, but the BMW had to brake at a point in the corner where it wouldn't be used to.
That was Sergio Nicolai dive-bombing the BMW of Under Erdem then, which is another penalised car. Up the curb goes Erdem, but Nicolai, the Romanian driver, has gone through. And incidentally, Clement Seiler has done an absolute best first sector on his last lap, and the car's best of the race, as it remains Cedric Fuchs, the race leader. 2.5 minutes to go, and a flying lap is a 2 minutes 13. So the leader on his way at the moment to what seems to be an easy win, although the gap's come down a smidge to Lachlan Everett. They're down at turn 5 at the moment, and there Enrico Ferderer, a happy man. The Mercedes team's looking on and confident this is going to be a win. We had a confident Mercedes team in GT3 last night, and then it all unravelled at the last moment. Let's hope it doesn't affect the squad operating this car, the SRO Motorsports team.
Yeah, can really just stroke it home now. Flushing the headlights, a few slower cars in front, one of them being the Borusan automotive car that's obviously had exhaust troubles earlier on. I think the other one might be the Sisterville Motorsport Audi that we've been used to seeing. And they're in a battle themselves. That'll be the last thing Fuchs will want to see. And he will take his time, but he hasn't got the most amount of time. 3.6 seconds to that white and yellow Supra just down the road.
And Hugo Condo's red Supra that's dropped off the page altogether, that's got a track limit 5-second penalty, but it's down in 22nd place anyway. Remember, it was 3rd before the pit stops. Clearly, that's had a problem.
Yeah, it's just gone wrong, hasn't it? It's a misfire or something, but it's very bad. It's losing 4 seconds a lap.
Yeah, it's gone wrong, and it's very wrong. One more lap to go then for Cedric Fuchs, with there Lachlan Everett having had a really impressive second stint, chipping away, bringing down that gap as they again power their way now on to the Virage Dupont. Leader getting a little bit caught up in traffic here. That's the last thing he needs, because it's going to cost him a little bit of time, but one more lap to go. So Cedric Fuchs now getting busy. Works his way up past the slower cars. He will come over the timing line and onto the last lap then now will go. Cedric Fuchs in number 1, 1-1. The yellow and black Mercedes in second place. Lachlan Everett goes through there.
I think we're going to see a change for the final podium position as well. I thought Papadopoulos was safe, but Seiler's pace has been so strong. There's only 0.6 of a second between these two cars.
I've got a feeling there that Seiler has a penalty, has he not? So even if he gets past on the road, I fear corrected times may put them back again.
Ginetta stopped on the back straight chicane, so there's going to be a yellow flag there. So that will take away one of the overtaking opportunities. Hopefully the NM rating team have told Papadopoulos about the penalty for the Aston Martin, so he doesn't overly defend aggressively on that car.
And 75, which is the race lab car of the Cronins, is kind of having a drive-through penalty as you predicted, but it's going to be a time penalty because you can't have a drive-through so late in the race. So it will be a 40-second penalty applied at the end, which is kind of what you would lose through a drive-through.
Yeah, I think that's a fair penalty, and there'll be no arguments on the race lap side.
So as the leader works the last lap, Cedric Fuchs, mighty impressive. And now look, Lachlan Evanet getting a little bit stuck in the traffic that the leader had to sort out at the start of the lap for third on the road. Then here, still Alex Papadopoulos keeping Clement Seiler at bay. Mercedes versus Aston, two very comparable cars here in the way they go about the GT4 situation. And to the inside line goes Seiler. Nice move that to line it up coming up towards senior.
The timing was right with the green flag as well. He had to wait for that to get the move done, and he does. And yeah, really clean move. Just keeping an eye on the Volder bolting penalty issue at the moment. The gap 9.5 seconds. It's going to go right to the line. Remember, it needs to be over 10 for Volder to keep the victory.
But it's probably advantage him. He can just squeeze another few tenths on this last lap as for a great victory then. First time out in the championship for number 111, the car of Cedric Fuchs, and the driver that started in such impressive fashion, Enrico Ferreira. The car coming then now up towards the Virage Dupont to round out the first GT4 European Series race of the season. The checkered flag will be at the ready. A delighted team will be at the ready. Schnitzel all round then for the SRO Motorsport by Schnitzel Alm team. Checkered flag awaits for Cedric Fuchs, for Enrico Ferreira to win the first race of GT4 European Series for 2026. A very happy team and a perfect drive by both, not a wheel wrong.
Yeah, it's a hard one if you're the team to try and critique your two drivers, isn't it? In the drivers to the team, they've obviously got the setup needed.
Not a single track limit for either of the top two cars. So the second place Toyota, Lachlan Evanet, taking that over from Mies Houben. And despite the fact he was pushing hard, again, that free of track limit warnings, whereas the third place car, Clement Seiler, 5 of them.
It's a shame we can't carry it over, so I'm starting the stopwatch now on the 98. Got to be 10 seconds to when this car crosses the line. I think he is just going to do it, but it's going to be really tight. It's up to 7 seconds now, 9 and 10 now. I think that's about 10.5 seconds. It was close. Really good job by Volder.
So as Joachim Bolting came through, he was 43 seconds off the leader. Valder was 32. That makes it about 11 between the two. Valder wins Pro-Am even with the penalty. He'll just have enough of a cushion.
Yeah, stopwatch doesn't lie. So, yeah, good job. That would have been an unnecessary stress down there to secure the Pro-Am victory.
But just reflect on what we've seen here. Two young guns, Enrico Ferreira and Cedric Fuchs. Fabulous drive.
Yeah, and they're in the right shop window, aren't they? They all have sights of GT3. They want to make a career out of motorsport. SRO obviously doing an amazing job with their driver academy. We saw Simon Gaspé yesterday taking that GT3 prize drive in the Mercedes. So that's where their eyes will be. But for now, they know they've also got 9 more races to go in this championship.
And a nice, gentle in-lap. Not stressing the car. It'll be offline to get the pickup to help with the ride height and the weight as well. And then the cars will make their way to the Parc Ferme area, presentation area, and hopefully we can hear from two very happy drivers. We heard on the grid from Cedric Fuchs, but excellent job done that. And also a hat tip to Lachlan Evanet. That car was there or thereabouts in the first stint, but he really did get it by the scruff of the neck and hustle it on to a well-deserved second place. Another impressive young gun.
Yep, threw some good moves, didn't he? Got the job done and looked quite confident with it too. And like you said, first time at Paul Ricard for him. So has he got even more pace when it comes to race 2 this afternoon?
Let's wait and see. The drivers that have just finished the race will be the start drivers for the second, because they did the qualifying session. So the pack forming up behind the winning Mercedes AMG. Joachim Valder then taking the win in Pro-Am, Julien Brichet, Nico Farrerin taking honours in the Am category. Just waiting for things to update with penalties to be applied, which will be done hopefully before we need to worry about the podium. But Victor Bouveng and Joachim Walder then taking the class win, but it was a little bit stressy at the end with the penalty.
Yeah, it really was. I'm sure the team did communicate it, and he gave everything he could. From being very respectful of staying behind our race winner, who's going overly slow. The only car that didn't was the #1 car, and I think that probably tells you where their head is at right now. They are wanting to get back to pit lane and forget about the race that's just happened.
Yeah, big disappointment for Consonny and Lariche. They got 10th in the end with penalties being applied. So up to 3rd, Alex Papadopoulos and Luc Ibanez. They did get the place back. Eric Evans, Mustang 4th. Clement Seiler drops to 6th with his penalty. Valder does win in the Pro-Am contest, bolting 2nd, and then the BMW of Under Adam taking 3rd. Am unaffected by penalties, a win for Brichet and for Ferrerin, and then Daniel Bickler and Moritz Berenberg, winner of Am in the SRO GT Cup, which is the largely China-based GT4 series last year. He takes 2nd and 3rd to the dad and lad Brunhagens. Well, on that evidence, we're in for another good season of GT4, and race 2 coming up a little bit later on in the day, with the grid based on qualifying times, not race results. But these drivers, as I say, that have done stint 2, the start drivers for the second race to come a little bit later on. There to the winner's area comes Cedric Fuchs. Already there is the Porsche of Julien Brichet. And the Pirelli engineers just checking pressures. The SRO officials making sure they've got the right cars in the right places. So Cedric Fuchs will jump clear of the car shortly. And there, Julien Brichet gets out of the Porsche. Nico Ferreira having done a good first stint. The Am Porsche victorious against the class opposition. Pirelli winners' hats for the drivers. And the rest of the field making its way down the pit lane. I know we say it a lot, GT4 having been a slow burn, but it really has developed into a great formula. The category continues to give excellent racing for GT cars that you really can relate to. I mean, okay, they might not be as viscerally exciting as a GT3 car, but these are closer to what people can drive on the road, of course.
Yeah, looks-wise and physically as well. And it's so many repeat drivers, don't you, that just come back year after year because the formula is so good, it's so addictive. They just want to do more and more of that.
So there are the cars in the victory area. Scrutineers will want to look. So everything placed under part fair-made conditions, and the teams will want them back as quickly as, especially as their paddocks on the outside of the circuit, so they have to go not to the inside but to the outside of the track and get the cars fettled for race 2. Let's hear from our victors then. Bryn Lucas is rounding up winners for us.
Well, Enrico, I spoke to your teammate on the grid before this race, starting from P2. It never looked like it was in any doubt once you'd taken that lead so early on.
Yeah, so thank you. First of all, it was a perfect race. So in the first corner, I managed to get P1, and after that, we managed to hold the position, and it's a great result in the first weekend of the GT4 European Series. So it's just amazing.
It's not a series that you're unused to, GT4. You know it very, very well. What are the expectations going into a season like this? Normally, a race driver would say to win the title. Is that where you've come in from the outset? Yeah,
we are always coming for winning. We just come to win.
And is it a consistency thing that you're looking at over the course of this season? Just keep bagging consistent results, or has it got to be P1 every single time? I think P1 is not possible because there are other drivers. They're also very, very, very good drivers. So we just do our best. We just do a good job, give 100%, and then we see the result at the end. Well, your teammate is here now. You spent quite a lot of time in the car at the end there. Can you tell us what was going on?
Yeah, it was only driving home the win. So Enrico made a fantastic job at the beginning. At the end, it was only doing slow, safe, and get the win.
You had the easy job, really, didn't you? Really, it was handed over to you so nicely by your teammate.
Yeah, it was a more easy job than him, but yeah, that's amazing.
Well done, first win.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good result for Enrico Förderer and Cedric Fuchs, and he will be the man, Cedric, to start the car in the second race. Of course, although they made the race look easy, a lot of it was done on the run down to turn one, wasn't it, when they had to grab the lead, or Enrico Förderer had to grab the lead. So we'll get the podium underway shortly. You're looking in super slow-mo at the winning car. Great job done by the SRO Motorsport team. And again, interesting to see the teams that come out of the regional championships, the ADAC championship in Germany, and then catapulted onto the European stage like this. Right, what about Pro-Am? That was a bit touch and go for Victor Bouveng and Joachim Walder with a penalty, but there with Bryn.
Well, gents, that was it was tight at the end, wasn't it? When you started off, though, very easy, very laid back, and the way you'd expect to go about it.
Yeah, it was a good start. I went off into the P2. It was a really nice first stint. I knew we was playing the long game here, so there was no point to fight with the silver cars here. So I just tried to deliver a good car as possible without so much degrading on the tire. So I stayed behind, no stupid things, and left the car to Joachim. And then it got really exciting. Somehow it was too quick in the pit lane, but somehow, yeah, it played out quite well.
It played out for a lot of drama for us watching on. There was a 10-second penalty your way, but you managed to edge it by, I think, half a second.
Yeah, I didn't know about the penalty until the end, but when Victor gave me the car, I was a bit nervous, as I told you before, and then he had a very good communication over the radio, so I could relax and do my driving, but it was tricky in the end, but we're super happy now.
And last year we lost with 0.05 seconds, I think, something like that, so it feels really good to clinch it this year.
One better, well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good drive by the BMW team. It does show the importance of getting everything right in the pit. It's not just the time, but the speed as well. Right, race result. Enrico Förderer the winner with Cedric Fuchs, Mies Houben and Lachlan Evan at second, and Luc Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos third on corrected times, with Eric Evans and Nathan Van Springel partnership together for the first time fourth, Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit fifth, and then Clemence Seiler drops to sixth with Pedro Garcia seventh, Mackenzie Cresswell and Charlie Hart ahead of Jan Steenhuisens and Harry Reynolds, Tudor Tudoraci and Sergio Nicolai 9th, and Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consini 10th, but they'll still be disappointed with that. Pro-Am victory to Joachim Walder and Victor Bouveng in 12th, and an Am win 13th to Nico Ferreira and Julien Brichet. So good race as far as the Mercedes are concerned, and the drivers, the teams that have a few hours before they need to get themselves back out on track and go racing again. They will round out the day here with still action to come from Lamborghini, the second GT3 revival race, and then GT4 European Series at the end of the day. There'll be one or two teams as well eager to try and convince people to let them have a bit more grunt under the balance of performance that tries to equate all of these different shapes, sizes, weights, engine configurations within GT4. But a very impressive start with Mercedes and Toyota and Ford locking out the first 4 places, but a nice spread of the manufacturers as well. So Cedric Fuchs and Enrico Förderer win our first GT4 European Series race of the day here at the Paul Ricard circuit. The cars will be back on track at 4:15 local time for race 2, and that should be another cracking GT4 European Series round.